Hello guys, welcome back to the channel Rahul Automation Studio. So hey guys, in my last videos I have explained about the event concepts. About the testng. In this video I'm going to explain you about the parameters value that you can pass it from your testng.xml file. So definitely see guys when it is useful. Suppose you want to pass some test value, some test data value, and some environment variable value that is common and that is useful for your test cases and for your testng framework, so that you can pass your values from the testng.xml file. So how you can pass the value from testng.xml file, and how you can use parameters annotation for it to access the value from your testng.xml file. So in this video we are going to cover all these points one by one, and will be covering in our practical example. So in this video, we are going to see that parameter value from testng.xml, how you can define in testng.xml file, how you can use that parameters annotation, and how you can run your test case that is from testng.xml file. And also at the rate parameter annotation, you can use at the rate before and at the rate after annotations methods also. Okay, that I will show you how you can use and when it is useful. That also I will tell you how you can use in your testing framework. And also I will explain you about the at the rate optional parameters. Suppose you the parameter is not defined in your testng.xml file, but there will be one default value for it and that you can access it. And also how you can define at the rate parameter variable in the constructor method, and you can use this constructor value, I mean the field which will be initialized through your constructor, you can use it across your multiple test cases in your class file. Okay, so we will be seeing one by one. So I have one example. So this is a one of the test case. So it will be launching the URL, and after that it will be doing the login with this particular credentials. So I have created a dummy account on it, and it will do the login for us. So let's see what is the exact scenario. And this same test case I will convert it with the help of the at the rate parameters. Okay. So just click on run. So you will see that it will launch a Chrome browser and it will launch this particular URL in that. And after that, it will pass the username and credentials, username and password value, and it will do a successful login. So same test case we will be covering with the help of at the rate parameters annotation. So how you can parameterize these all test data values. So let's see. And this is the test case. So it will be click on sign in, and after clicking on sign in it will enter the username and password and it will do a successful login for us. So this is the test case for us, and you can see our test case has been passed. So as this in this video I'm going to cover about the testng concept, so that's why I'm not explaining you much about the Selenium concept, that how you can find out the path or how you can launch the URL, how you can send the value. So these things I have already covered in my Selenium with Java playlist, so you can go through with that. Okay, so this is specially related to the testng concept, so I will be covering the same. So now the thing is, this is the test data value, right? That it is not a good practice that you will hardcode your value in the test case, right? In the similar way, this username, this password, we should not write down in our test case. Instead of that, we should be parameterize it, and we should take these values from some external source like some config file. So this kind of test data values, so we can take it from like this is our test or environment data. We can also say environment data, right? So like we can take it from config file, properties file, right? We can take it from testng file, we can take it from Excel, right? We can also read it in the form of JSON file, right? We can read it in the XML format. So there are multiple ways, and maybe you can read it from database also, right? Database also. So these are some external sources that you can use for your environment variables value or for a test case data value, right? So instead of writing the test data or test case value in the test case, it is always you can use some external files, and from there you can easily manage such kind of things. So in this topic, we are going to cover how you can achieve with the help of parameters. So for that, what you have to do, first of all, you have to create a testng file, and in testng file, you have to use at the parameters. I mean parameters tags you have to define there. So let's see how you can do it. So this is regression.xml file. I will just copy and will create a new file. So you can give any name, any name you can give to it. Okay, so I will give a name as testng. So you can give any other name also, not an issue. So just click on OK. Once this testng.file is there, so this testng.file is having this class already. So what we have to define is we have to define parameter tag. Parameter tag. So this is the tag where we can define our environment variable name and the value for it. So first will be like having the attribute name, and which name you want to give. So we want to give as a URL, right? And what is the value for it? Okay, and after that we have to close it. So we can see the variable value. This is the value of our URL. You can cut it from here. Okay, and you can use in parameter. So this is how you have to define your parameters, guys. So in the similar way, you can define for others also, that we will see once we will done with the one of the scenario. So you have defined the URL. Now our first step is done. That is like parameters value from testng. So we have defined this parameter in testng.xml. Now it's the time to use parameters. So there is one annotation that is defined in the testng @parameters. Okay, and this annotation we have to import from testng. So this is there. So this annotation you have to define on which test case you want to use the test case data. Okay, like so here we want to use, so the format for this is you have to use the curly braces, and you have to use the variable name. So this variable name should be the same which is defined in your testng.xml file in the parameter tag. So name we have defined as URL. So this same URL should be there. This variable name should be same at the place while defining at the parameters. Okay. Now another thing. Now you have to define one variable string. Okay. As a parameter of the method, right? So here you can define as a URL value. So this variable name can be different. Okay, so this variable can be different. It is not necessary that this variable name should also be URL, which we have defined in our testng.xml file. So that matching should be coming from testng parameters name, and it will map with at that parameter variable. After that, you can use any other variable name also. So right, so we will be using URL value. Now we have configured at that parameter. We have defined the value also for our parameter in the testng.xml file, and we have defined one variable as a URL value. So we can use this value now. So the value will pass from testng file to this URL, and from this URL it will map with our parameter of the test case. Now you can use this variable name driver.get. Okay, just control S. So this is done. So this is how you can access the parameter value in your test case. So instead of defining the value in the test case, you can define in our testng.xml file. Okay. So now how to run? So after that you have to run your test case. So you have to run it from, you have to run testng.xml file. Okay. So run as testng suite. So once you will click on testng suite, it has to start running your test case, and the value for your URL should be coming from the testng file. Let's see. Yes, so you can see value of particular URL is coming from our testng.file because we have not defined this variable in our test case, right? You can see. So directly it is coming from one variable and it is launching it, right? So this is how you can use @parameters. So test case is running and it will be passing for you. So our test case is passed, you can see. So in the similar way, I have defined one variable. So in the similar way, you can define other variables value also, like username and the password. So let's define these variables as well. Okay. So in the similar way, I have defined for parameter URL. Similar way, I will define it for username and password also. Okay. You can define for any other variables also, guys. Like you can define if you want to define the browser, in which browser you want to run. Suppose in your project, the project is running on the IE as well as on Chrome. So if you want to run your test case in different browsers and you want to decide in which browser you want to run your test case, so that particular value like on Chrome or IE, you can pass it from your testng.xml file also. Or maybe the environment, if you want to define that in this environment, because there will be definitely multiple environment will be there once you will start working in your project. So there will be like dev environment, there will be sit environment, there will be uat environment, there will be production environment. So in which environment you want to run your test case, that also you can pass, it from here, and the URL for that particular server will be changed accordingly, right? So that also you can do, you can pass it. So in our scenario, we will be using the username, right? And another one as a password. So we will define the value. So the value for our password is 12345 6. So this is just a dummy account that I have created, and this is the username for this particular website. So you can define that parameter value also here, right? Just click on Control S. Now this same variable name you have to use, @parameter like this. So password, username, okay, URL, username, password. Now one thing that I want to tell you is, see, you are defining multiple variables, so definitely the sequence can be anything here that you can mention, like first URL, your username and password. So you can even change the sequence here, it doesn't matter. But the sequence that you are defining in @parameter, like first you are defining URL, second you are defining username, and third is password. These are basically the variable name that you have defined in your testng.xml file. Now the sequence of defining the parameters in your test case should be same as it is defined in your @parameters annotation. So first, the parameter that you are defining in your method, it should be for URL, second should be for username, and third should be for the password. Okay, and number of parameters should also be same, and data type also for that should be same, and sequence also should be the same. Okay, that you have to be considered once you are writing and using @parameters. I mean, it is not like that you will define int here and you are getting the string value in URL variable. No, you can't use like that. If it is coming as a string variable, so you have to define as a string only. Okay, so like this you have to use. After that, you have to give string username value. So you can give any variable name. So I am just giving a meaningful name. So same also we use in our project also, in our company. Like that, you can use password value, username. Now instead of using this hardcode value, you can use a variable name here, that password value. Similar way for the password, that was the username value, this is for the password that you can use. Okay, so how the value will flow? So value will flow from testng file, and it will map this username, and accordingly the value will pass for this variable password for username, then it will come to this particular variables, okay, in parameters. Then after that, it will map with the parameters, corresponding parameters. It will be mapped like user URL will map with first one, URL will be mapped with first. After that, username will map with the second parameter. This will map with the third parameter. Like that, it will be mapped and it will pass the value to these particular variables. And after that, you can use this variable as you want to use in your test case. Okay, so let's try to run it. And we have to run the testng.xml file. Let's see if all the value will pass. So this is the correct way, guys. Always don't hard code any value in your test case, because if tomorrow if that value will change, you are not going to enter in your code and then you will change the value. Always value should be like that you can change from your external file, or if you can change it dynamically. So that kind of thing you should be taking care while writing the test cases. So it is working fine. It has entered login name and password also. And so at the rate parameters is working fine for us, right? So you can see now. So the next thing that I want to tell you about at the rate parameters. So you got the basic idea that how you can use at the rate parameters concept and how you can pass test some environment and test data value in your test case. Now the thing will come that how you can easily manage and very usefully you can manage your test data with the help of that parameter. Suppose tomorrow you are going to write some another test case, right? So in that case, will you write at that parameter URL, username or password again in another test case, right? Like suppose tomorrow some another test case is there, and this is for verifying title, this is for verifying use name, some name, any name it can be. And here also you need this URL, username and password. So will you write in each and every test case? Suppose tomorrow you have to write another variable, again you have to go in test case. So maintenance work will be more in that case, because it is not easy to maintain always all the variables in all the test cases, right? So it should be like some organized way, so that maintenance work, guys, always maintenance work matters a lot when you're working in a project in your company, because it should be minimum. They want customized and modified framework, so that if tomorrow some any change is coming, it should be very quick. If tomorrow some XPath is changed, some functionality is changed, so they want like you should be able to do the changes and modify your scripts in couple of hours only, like minutes or hours. It should not take like days. So that's how you have to be maintained in a proper structured way. So how you what you can do for it? So the second concept which come in a parameters is like you can define at the rate parameters on at the rate before and after annotations also. Okay, so the method which is having at that before and after suite, class, test, all these annotations are having, we can also use and those methods also. So how we can use, guys? Let's see. So I will be writing one method, that is public void open URL. So this is the one of the method that I need for my all the test cases, right? And for this, what I will do, I will take this code from here, right? Because this is the code to open a URL and to launch that particular URL. And this I need for each of the test case, right? So what I can do, I can just use this kind of code in one of the method. And as I want to open the browser and to load the URL for each of the test case. So for what I will do, instead of writing this same code again and again in all the test case, I will write down one annotation, that is at the rate before method annotation I will use. So now what will happen, guys, that this method will always execute with each and every test case. You don't need to define these kind of values, this kind of logic every time in each of the test case. Okay, so once you will write, automatically at that before method will execute with each of the test case, right? So you don't need to define and write the same line of code again and again in different test case. So now what parameter is saying that this URL value is there that we were using, like, we have to hard code value, but we don't want to hard code and we want it from testng file. So parameter is saying you can use parameters annotations, okay, before method also. If it is before method or before class, before test or before suite, after class, after suite, after test, so you can use that this parameter annotations with these annotations as well. Okay, so this is the concept for parameters, and it is saying that if you're using it, you can use this particular variable name here. You don't have to write in your test case. You can write it in before method also. Like this, you can use parameter, and we are defining this particular URL, and we have to map. So for that, what we will do, string URL value. We can use it like this, and this is the URL value. You can use in driver.get. So you don't have to write it here again. You can remove it from here like this. Got it, guys? In the similar way, you can define for username and password also, that if you require username and password for your every test case, that also you can define in that, and this test case you can write it for like verifying the title only. So that kind of thing also you can do. So let's do it for the open URL and let it be there. So you can manage and accordingly what is the requirement for your framework, and what kind of project you are working on. But this is the scenario and concept that you can use like that also. So URL will map coming from the testng.xml file, then it will map to URL value, and then save value will be launching here, right? And after that, at that parameter is there, username and password will come from this value. Okay, let's see how if it will work. So run as a testng suite. So this is how you have to manage and write down your methods, guys, when you are designing your testing framework. Because maintenance work will be very less, guys, in this. Because if you want to change any logic for your opening URL, suppose tomorrow they have introduced one more page in your login or something. So easily just you have to define in one method, and it will reflect for each of every test case with you. You don't have to go in every test case and you have to change that. Just at one place in one method you have to do, and it will reflect in all the test cases. So our test case is passed. You can see it is passed. So it is working fine. So definitely you can use at that parameters with at that before and after annotations as well. This is one of the thing, and one more concept is there. Okay, one more concept is there now. So what is that concept is, like, suppose this URL value or some other value that you want to use, maybe it can be some another test data also, something like username, like a date of birth is there, or some product value want to select, and it will be same for all the products. So in that case, what you will do, you would like to define one variable that is public and string, right? So URL value. So this is URL value. And so what parameter is saying, I'm just telling you that you can use in a constructor method also, guys. Okay. So how to define the constructor? You can define the constructor public and with the class name. It don't have any return type, and you just have to define it like this, right? So this is our constructor. So what it is saying, you can define in your constructor also. So how you can do? Same thing, just copy this code, paste on your constructor, and this is the variable name you can use in your constructor. And okay, this is URL, we are using as a URL value, and this is also URL value. So I just want to change the name for it. So what value we can give? URL So we can give like URL. Let Because I want to give some name so that you can know you can find out easily like what is the difference. So URL content we will give, not an issue. So we will just copy this, we'll paste it here, and URL value like this. So whenever you will create the object, suppose for particular this class, automatically this variable will be initialized with your testng value, and this value will be coming from testng, then it will map to this particular variable, and after that it will map with your parameter value of this constructor, and then it will assign this value to your variable. And this variable URL content you can use in your different test case now. Before you was only able to use only in the one of the test case, right? Now you can use it number of test case. Suppose you are working on an insurance project, right? And there are multiple products are there for insurance, like life insurance, health insurance, product insurance, like fire or related anything. So multiple kind of insurance is there, and you want to run your test case. Suppose there are 10 test case and 10 case you want to run for your health insurance. So in that case, that health insurance value you will pass it from your test engine parameter, and it will get assigned in this particular variable. And then this particular insurance product name you can use in your 10 of the test case for your class, right? So like that you can use. Just an example I'm giving how you